Joe Biden is dropping the student loan forgiveness plan. We have updates on immigration at the U.S.-Mexico border. And we have big news over at Lucasfilm. And I have a lot to say about that. Welcome to the Bald Brad Show. Before we get into our lead story today, please take a moment right now to hit that like button. It really does help support the channel, and it also pushes the YouTube algorithm to push my video out there to viewers who have not seen my content or my channel. And if you want to support a new conservative talk show like the Bald Brad Show, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now. It is for free. It doesn't cost you anything. But also don't forget to hit the bell notification button so you're notified whenever we go live, which is every Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And folks, I did look at the data. Roughly 20% of you are subscribed that are consistent viewers, but a whopping 80% of my viewers are not subscribed to the channel. So if you want to help a conservative YouTube channel grow, I'm asking you kindly, please, it is for free to hit that subscribe button. It does help support my channel without having to pay for anything. And with that being said, everyone, our lead story of the day comes from our friends over at the Daily Wire. If you're not already a member, please go over and become a subscriber today. It is titled Budget Report, Biden Dropping Student Loan Forgiveness He Promised During Campaign. Now, all the supporters, especially the ones that voted for him to hopefully get their student loan forgiveness ultimately extinguished, gone, vaporized, adios, see you later. Well, they must be pretty pissed right now because Joe Biden looks like he's not going to go through with it, thank the Lord. And we talked about it a little bit on our show previously of, look, you know what? I have student loan. I have student debt, student loans. I don't expect you as the taxpayer to pay off my debts. You're not the one that took it on. You're not the one that took that liability on, so you shouldn't be required to have to pay for it. Just in the same way, I shouldn't have to pay for somebody else's education as an adult. You're the one that chose to do that. Heck, why should we stop at student loan forgiveness when there's people out there with mortgages as well? There's people out there that are financing cars. Why don't we just go and pay off everybody else's debt for those things? Why are we just going with student loan debt? Doesn't make sense to me. Doesn't make sense to a lot of taxpayers, to a lot of conservatives, to a lot of Republicans, but hell, that's what the leftists do. They choose things, they pick things that they want for free, and then they try to vote in a president that's going to do it. But luckily here you have Joe Biden that's, maybe doesn't have the cojones to do it. I'm not going to try to egg the man on. I'm liking the fact that we're not going through with this, but, we got a lot of good news today. This is one of them. Leftists being pissed off at their own president for not doing it. It's great. It starts off here by saying President Joe Biden is reportedly dropping student loan forgiveness, a promise he made during his campaign for POTUS for this upcoming budget. 4 months into his term, the pressure remains on Biden to follow through on a campaign promise to forgive $10,000 in federal student loan for every borrower, Yahoo Finance reported this weekend. However, Biden's $10,000 forgiveness promise seems to be off the table for this budget, the report added, noting of Biden's recent interview with the New York Times that the idea that you can go to Penn and you're paying a total of $70,000 a year and the public should pay for that, I don't agree, Biden told the Times last week. The Washington Post on Friday, too, reported that several ambitious Biden campaign pledges will likely be left out of the annual White House budget, including student debt forgiveness. So he's telling the public one thing during his campaign to get their vote, and now he's switching it, doing the old switcheroo on them and telling them another thing. And by the way, I agree with what Biden's saying here. If you decide to go to Penn, if you decide to go to any college, whether that's a community college, a university, a state school, it doesn't matter, and you're the one that's taking out student debt, that is on you. You're the one that is supposed to be planning this stuff out. You're the one that's expected to pay that off, not the taxpayer. We're not the one that should take on somebody else's liability. I didn't sign on for that. I didn't agree to those terms. I didn't agree to that contract. So you as the individual should be the one to pay it off. Again, not the American citizen, not the taxpayer. And it seems like Biden is on our side. So maybe he was just saying that stuff to get the vote, which seems like it. But boy, oh boy, the leftists have to be pissed, which I'm all for. I'm all for, the leftist tears. I'm all for it. President Biden is still waiting for the U.S. Department of Justice and the U.S. Department of Education to report on their review of his legal authority to forgive student loan debt through executive order. Well, look, Joe, if you don't agree that somebody going to Penn State and taking out $70,000 and the burden should be put on the taxpayer, then regardless of whether you have the power to do it or not, you shouldn't do it because you disagree with it. And by the way, I think executive orders are way overdone. I think they're an overreach of the executive branch. I do not think that presidents should be just signing executive orders willy-nilly. That's not how things should be ran. There's no really checks and balances with that. And so I hope that our justice system and Department of Education report comes through by saying that the president does not have the authority to issue an executive order on ultimately forgiving student loan debt. Now, there's two things that I think is going to happen here. One of them is going to be that it's not going to go through, that they're not going to allow the president to go through with an executive order. And even if they did, I don't think Joe Biden would go through with it just based on what I'm reading here. Again, what I'm reading here. Now, Joe Biden has done an old switcheroo on his own people, so I could see him doing another switcheroo and reverting back to it. So I might be coming back here in a week or a month or a year and saying, look, this is what I said before, and this is what Joe Biden's doing now. You can never trust a leftist. You can never trust a Democrat, and the Democrats are learning that the hard way right now. So it says here that Biden likely does not have the authority to forgive student debt, bouncing the issue to Congress. Only after he receives that report, which I expect will find that he does not have the legal authority, will the ball be in Congress's court, he explained. Notably, leading Democrats have called for executive action for Biden to wash away up to a stunning $50,000 in federal student loan debt, and they want it done in Biden's first 100 days. And this is what we expect from the Democrats. We expect taxes to increase. We expect open borders. We expect everybody to get free stuff because they want to turn into more of a socialist type party. And so that's the direction that they're moving. Where the Republicans and the conservatives are staying mostly center, for that matter, actually. But what we're seeing here is the Democrats moving way further left. They're actually joining the left. Before, we would identify leftists and Democrats as kind of two different things, but slowly they're really morphing into kind of one identity, one big party, where, again, you have the left and the Democrats joining. They want $50,000 in federal student loan debt. Can you imagine how much money of the taxpayer that's going to cause? And it kind of makes you wonder why Joe isn't doing it. I mean, hell, he's already doing like a $3.2 trillion infrastructure plan. He already did 1.9 COVID relief package. So he's throwing out trillions of dollars here. What's another trillion to him? So that's where I don't know the boundaries of that, especially when this is your campaign promise. So if you're breaking a promise, there's kind of that saying, it takes years to build trust, but seconds to break it. I have a feeling he just lost a bunch of votes, but hey, we'll take those leftists. We'll take them for a Republican vote. That's for darn sure. Maybe you got Trump coming back in the mix. Maybe you got Trump 2.0. What I'm saying is Ron DeSantis coming into the mix. You got Ted Cruz, Nikki Haley. You got a lot of great people here. We got a deep bench on the Republican side, and I don't see anybody rising up to the occasion on the Democrat side. And if I do, they're a little wacky and a little cuckoo, like AOC, Maxine Waters, Nancy Pelosi, who I don't think is going to run because she's borderline about to spit out her dentures every time she talks. But, you know, I just don't see a deep bench for the Democrats here. But the Republicans, we're looking pretty good for 2022 and especially 2024. We'll see what happens with that. Biden, although the White House later backtracked, has suggested he won't go near such an amount. As highlighted the Daily Wire, the White House has made it clear that Biden is able, under authority ceded to him under the Higher Education Act, to forgive around $10,000 per individual federal student loan borrower through an executive order, but that forgiving any amount above that must go through Congress. Now, they're all about making sure that everybody has equality of everything, right? Equality of outcome, equality of access, equality across the board. Why are we just keeping it at federal loans? Why are we not going towards private loans as well? I have a private loan. I didn't go through the federal loan system. I went strictly through a private bank, a private institution for my loan. So why are we ultimately going against the ones that have private loans, but we're ultimately just going to support the ones with federal student loans or those that borrowed from a federal level? Doesn't make sense to me. It seems like, you're kind of discriminating against those that have private loans such as myself. And I thought you weren't for discriminating against people. But that's what I'm seeing here. Is it because I'm white? Is it because I wear a red hat? What's it for? Of course, I'm being facetious. I truthfully don't care if my debt gets forgiven by the government or not, because, again, I'm the one that took on that burden. I should have a 10-year loan here paid off in the first year and a half, 2 years of it. Okay? With that being said, folks, we also have information from the U.S.-Mexico border here. Crazy stuff still happening. Joe Biden still doesn't have it under control. The footage that I'm going to show you in a moment looks like something out of a freaking movie. This is just nuts what's happening at the U.S.-Mexico border. But this comes from our friends over at Blaze Media. It is written by Chris Fields, and he titles it, "Drone Video Shows Dozens of Illegal Aliens Rushing Outnumbered Border Patrol Agents in Mad Dash into Texas." New drone video footage obtained by Fox News showed a group of about 40 illegal aliens rushing the U.S.-Mexico border into La Jolla, Texas. The crowd of immigrants heavily outnumbered Border Patrol officials who attempted to stop them as they dashed across fences and streams into southern Texas. Well, what happened within all this? Fox News drone team captured video Sunday morning of the group of dozens of illegals running from overwhelmed Border Patrol agents. The group was reportedly made up of only adults, including 2 men who were already handcuffed together, and that was reported by the outlet. Let's go ahead and roll the footage.
Good afternoon to you. We want to show you some brand new exclusive images from our Fox drone team. Remarkable footage caught this morning right here in La Jolla, Texas. If we can pull it up right now. Take a look at this crazy video showing a large group of migrants running away from Border Patrol as they cross illegally into the United States. Appear to be a group of 30 to 40 just scattering into an open field as Border Patrol is pursuing behind them. Mostly single adults, men, no children with them. You'll see a Border Patrol unit chasing them. Two of the guys appear to be handcuffed together as one border agent, badly outnumbered, tries to chase them pickup truck as that group continues running through a field, over a bridge, through a stream. Some of those migrants end up falling into what appears to be a pond or a little stream. They keep running. One guy stays behind, appearing to lose his shoe. Again, you see another badly outnumbered border agent trying to keep up with them, but they just can't. It's one agent chasing a big group like that. Other migrants continue running through the field. Our cameras continue following them.
What a remarkable scene. It's like something you would expect to see in movies. If you ever seen that Jim Carrey movie, I think it was called Fun with Dick and Jane. I think it was the one where he ended up losing his job, and it was kind of a spoof off the Enron era where he had all his money into the company. He invested all his money into the stock into the company. The company ultimately went down, and so all the employees lost their retirement. They basically lost all their savings and everything. And so he's going out trying to find work, and he gets stuck with working with some illegal immigrants, and then INS, or in other words, ICE, shows up, and ultimately this happens. These look pretty identical, am I not right? But it says here, according to Fox News, only about 15 to 20 of the illegals were eventually taken into custody, with the rest fleeing on foot and avoiding capture by Border Patrol. And guys, I'm sure this stuff happens all the time, every single day. I mean, it has to, right? When you have 170,000 people coming in per month illegally, we don't have the manpower for that. But the Biden administration doesn't care. The Democrats don't care. Nancy Pelosi doesn't care. Maxine Waters doesn't care. AOC doesn't care. You know, the one that sat there and was taking false photos, going inside these institutions there that they're drinking out of the toilet, which they weren't drinking out of the toilet. And by the way, the same water that's in your toilet is the same water that comes out of your faucet, and it's freaking cleaner than majority of other countries out there. So AOC just speaking a bunch of nonsense constantly, but you don't see her down at the border. You don't see her calling Biden a racist. You don't see her calling the Democrat Party racist for putting them in cages, holding up to 400, 500 people into pods that only hold 250. We're not going to talk about that stuff. But hey, you know, the Democrats, Joe Biden, can never do anything wrong. They can only do rights. Where the Republicans can never do anything right. They can only do things that are wrong. It says here, Texas Republican Governor Greg Abbott told Fox News he would be sending additional resources to the border to help the overwhelmed federal agents, citing not only immigration concerns, but also the massive increase in drugs being smuggled across the southern border. And what I specified earlier was Biden having this type of immigration policy, this type of immigration plan, has created an entire business sector for these drug smugglers, for these immigration smugglers, where basically these immigrants, these people are trying to come over here illegally, are treated as a commodity. And he started a multi-billion-dollar business for these drug smugglers, the cartel, these violent gang members. And so kudos to Biden for ultimately creating jobs, just not in America, just in another country. So the man's a job creator and an economy destroyer. Just last week, Customs and Border Patrol revealed that their agents have seized more fentanyl in fiscal year 2021 than all of fiscal year 2020. Governor Abbott told reporters that there had been an 800% increase in fentanyl seizures by the Texas Department of Public Safety in April compared to April 2020. Drugs and people are not the only smuggled items officials are worried about. Fox News reported that the La Jolla illegal immigration hotspot saw the arrest Friday of a Mexican national who was attempting to smuggle an arsenal of high-powered firearms and ammunition across the border. So Biden just doing everything right, curing COVID, destroying the economy, transporting illegal immigrants across the country, smuggling in the dead of night. I didn't cover that story. Illegal immigrants into our country as well. There still is that lawsuit going on where Joe Biden wants to pay $87 million to house illegal immigrants into hotels, but he doesn't want to spend $87 million to house, ultimately, homeless people, homeless vets into hotel rooms. So just once again, Joe Biden, the Democrat Party, wanting to take care of other people before the people here sitting in America. Now, also in illegal immigration news, this also comes from Blaze Media. It is written by Daniel Horwitz. Illegal alien with at least 3 prior arrests accused of raping 82-year-old Florida woman. Okay, so this stuff should have never happened in the first place. Why? Because this person sure as hell shouldn't have been here, especially when you've been arrested 3 times. What was going on with all this? Why was this person not deported after the first time? What are they still doing in this country? So somebody's at fault here. Somebody in the government's at fault. Let's go ahead and find out together. It was the ultimate failure of our government to keep its most vulnerable citizens safe. That's the sole purpose of government, folks, is to keep the American citizens safe. That's why the government was formed, and that's what the failure is and the failure caused. But it goes a little bit deeper here. We need to find out what was going on in a minute detail version of what happened here. An 82-year-old woman woke up at 3 a.m. on May 12th in her Martin County, Florida home by a man who tied her up and raped her for 45 minutes. My God. My God, man. I get goosebumps because it's so horrifying that an 82-year-old woman, that had to happen to her. And it's so graphic, the fact that they put 45 minutes in there, and that person, that illegal immigrant, should have never been here. But again, you guys, these people aren't animals. The Democrats don't think this person is an animal. Remember, Donald Trump called MS-13 animals, violent gang members. You know, the ones that will literally cut off your scalp and use it as a rug, a foot rug under them in their living room. They'll cut off your face and wear it. They'll use your head as a cereal bowl. And people think I'm joking when I say that stuff. I'm literally not joking. Like, they'll cut off your hands and send it to your family. They have no remorse for you. There's illegal aliens that are coming over here. There's illegal immigrants that have no agenda here to assimilate into our country for a better life. They're just out here to wreak havoc. That's exactly what's happening here, and this should have never happened in the first place. And now a woman, 82, ultimately gets raped for 45 minutes when it was the government's job to ultimately keep us safe. But again, the Democrats don't care about this stuff. They think that these people are all good people coming across the border. Ask any leftist. There's no bad people coming across, you guys. All these people are here for a better life. All of them. They're not committing any crimes. They're not doing heinous crimes. They're not doing sickening crimes like this, like raping people. Yet despite at least 3 other arrests, he was never deported. In other words, this alleged attack was 100% preventable. These stories happen every day. This is the broken aspect of our immigration system that is never discussed. Absolutely right. And you know who it's never discussed by? Democrats. You know who it's never discussed by? Leftists. You know who it's never discussed by? Nancy Pelosi, Maxine Waters, Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, AOC, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Chuck Schumer. This is just me rattling names off. You don't hear them talk about this. Why? Because they don't give a two about it, right? They just want the vote. They want the vote from this guy that just got done raping somebody, so I'm sure they'll keep him here. They tried to keep him here already, right? 3 arrests and the dude's still roaming around the streets free? Unbelievable. Marvin Mendoza, 20, appeared in court last week with an interpreter when he had his bail set for $520,000, $500,000, for charges of sexual battery by great force, burglary of a dwelling with assault or battery while masked, and false imprisonment while masked. According to the Martin County Sheriff, William Schneider, Mendoza is an illegal alien who came here as an unaccompanied minor in 2016, along with many other volatile Guatemalan teens. I like to point out, it's 2021 and this person is still here, hasn't been deported. And by the way, we just had, roughly 19,000 unaccompanied minors into the country. So is there one out of the 19,000 that came in that's like this dude? It's probably statistically probable. I wouldn't imagine there was a ton of unaccompanied minors that came in the year 2016. I might be wrong. I didn't look that data up. But we'll say theoretically that it is 19,000. Then the statistics should carry over that you would have the same, at least one person coming across that's going to commit a heinous crime like Mendoza here. But again, the Biden administration doesn't want to seal off the border. It's still, they'll shout to the skies that it's a closed border, but at the same time, they're just waving people in. You saw the video footage. Does it look like these people are following any sort of rules? Do you think that they're following what Biden's saying now? They call him the migrant president for a reason. They're wearing shirts with his name on it, you guys. Okay? They're openly saying we would have never done this if Trump was president, but we're doing it because Biden's president. And Biden can't fathom how this all started. I don't know what's going on. I don't know how I got here, but I'm here somehow. What happened just now? Who the hell are all you guys? I'm running for the office of the Senate. No, Mr. President. You're the president of the United States now. You're not running for anything. What the hell? What the hell? Guy doesn't know anything that's going on. Poor guy. I just watched a video of him today, and he's stumbling over reading his own notes. It's terrible. It's getting worse and worse every month, and it hasn't even been a year. It hasn't even been half a year yet. This guy's struggling. He had been arrested for several offenses while he was a minor, and then as an adult was arrested for grand theft and battery. That's just lovely. What a stand-up citizen. Not even a citizen for that matter, just what a stand-up person. He was arrested again in 2019 for exposing himself at a park in front of children. Okay. He wound up serving 100 days in jail for that. That's it? 3 months? Jeez, man. But Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, never picked him up to ensure he'd been removed from the country. So ICE not doing their job, that's just lovely. I'm a supporter of ICE and what they do, but they need to do their job well. Especially so things don't happen like this. He should have been picked up. He should have been deported. He should have never been allowed back into the country. He should have never given access back into the country. But again, our enforcement system doesn't care. Why? Because it's the job of the executive branch to enforce the laws. And you know what? This is a little bit under the Trump administration as well for ICE was under Trump, so it does, in a way, go back to Trump. I'm not saying Trump knew about this person. I'm not saying Trump knew what ICE was and wasn't doing. But what I'm saying is it still does fall on his shoulders as our leader to make sure stuff like this doesn't happen. He was working hard to make sure that this was coming to an end, coming to a stop. So I'm not putting all the blame on him. Most of the blame here goes on ICE, more than even the Biden administration. But what I'm saying is the Biden administration is only going to exacerbate this problem because they're not doing anything to fix it. They're not trying to build a border wall. They're saying they started construction again. We'll see if that actually happens, because you're seeing how wish-washy Biden is of, I'm going to give you guys $10,000 of student loan forgiveness. No, I'm not. I'm going to fix this immigration policy. I'm going to start the border wall. And then he ends up not doing it, right? So this is the problem when you ultimately break a promise. You don't know if you can believe the guy or not. You don't know if he's just a bunch of foo-foo, typical politician that's going to lie to your face just to get what he wants. It says here, the sheriff's office told me that the battery charge was for an arrest stemming from domestic violence incident when he allegedly choked a woman until she was nearly unconscious. Then there was also a probation violation as well. I was also told that the 82-year-old woman suffered significant physical trauma during the sexual assault. The million-dollar question is, how can an illegal alien such as with such a criminal record not be deported? We face a criminal justice system in this country with domestic criminals who consistently reoffend and revolve in and out of jail, but foreign nationals can and should easily be deported upon the first sign of trouble. Sheriff Snyder contends that his county always reports illegal aliens to federal immigration officials, and it was the feds who dropped the ball. According to the sheriff, his office has documentation from the jail record system that shows ICE was notified when Mendoza was arrested. So if that is the case, if he does truly have the records, then it does fall on ICE at the end of the day for not doing their job and not following up with Mendoza, which ends up being they're the ones to blame for the cause of this happening. Now, again, most of the blame goes on this idiot Mendoza because it was an individual action that happened on an individual basis. And again, this person was a repeat offender, and it shows that some people just can't be rehabilitated. Some people just are evil people. They're disgusting animals, and that's what this person is. I don't give a damn what the leftists say. I don't give a damn what Democrats say. This person is an animal. There are people that are being illegally smuggled into this country that are animals, that are disgusting, that are evil, that will commit murders in this country when that murder should have never happened. They'll commit rape on 82-year-olds when that stuff should have never happened, and it pisses me off. Because the left will try to justify it and go, oh, well, there's Americans that do this stuff. There's Americans that commit murders. There's Americans that commit rapes. There's Americans that commit battery. There's minorities and white people that do this stuff too. The difference is that person was already here illegally, and there's nothing we could have done about that crime, where this one, the crime could have been stopped, you bunch of idiots, by doing the freaking border wall. And of course, I'm not calling you, the viewer, an idiot. I'm calling the viewers of the leftists that agree with this type of crap of Joe Biden not locking up the border and fixing the issue, allowing this type of to happen, pisses me off because it's something that could have been stopped, meaning zero probability of happening, meaning unlikely, not going to happen, zero, never will ever see it. But because you don't lock up the border and do your damn job as Joe Biden and the freaking president of the United States to execute the laws and protect American citizens, you got a 82-year-old woman suffering from freaking being raped. I'm sorry for being pissed, but how could you not? How could you not? This is unbelievable, man. If you think this is bad for an 82-year-old woman, imagine if it was a young child. Imagine how to be talking then. But this stuff needs to stop. It's so unbelievable. So unbelievable this crap happens. In recent days, ICE announced the complete suspension of deportations for criminals below a pretty significant threshold. Overall, interior removals are down about 85%, dipping below 3,000 a month, down from about 22,000 a month in fiscal year 2019. It's truly shocking to imagine the number of violent criminals from other countries who are remaining in the country to senselessly victimize Americans. And that's exactly what conservatives have been talking about. That's exactly what I just been talking about. Where, look, if these people were never allowed to come here in the first place, if they were vetted, or if you deported them, then at least you're getting rid of a portion of the crime of ultimately happening or being duplicated again and again and again, meaning zero probability because that person was removed. You can't necessarily remove an American citizen, folks, so the probability is always going to be there, but the left don't know how statistics. The left and the Democrats don't know how to read statistics. They can't fathom any logical and reasoning events taking place. They don't know what the hell is going on. But again, these people aren't animals, guys. That person that just ultimately raped an 82-year-old woman, choked her practically unconscious, great stand-up citizen according to Democrats and the left. And I'm not kidding. I'm really not kidding. There was a damn line that Trump drew by calling MS-13 animals, and he was ridiculed and called a racist for doing that, saying that all Mexicans are animals, which is not what he was saying. And anybody with half a brain knows that. But you have to have half a brain to know that, right? That's where the Democrats and the left kind of fall out. They fall short on that regard. For example, just among the relatively small number of illegal alien criminals ICE arrested in fiscal year 2019, they had a cumulative tally of 1,900 convictions and charges for homicide, 1,800 convictions and charges for kidnapping, 12,000 sex offenses, with more than 5,000 convictions and charges of sexual assault, 45,000 convictions of charges for assault, 67,000 convictions and charges for crimes involving drugs, 10,000 convictions and charges for weapons offenses, 74,000 convictions and charges for driving under the influence. Just staggering numbers here. But again, folks, I know I keep repeating myself. The left and the Democrats don't give two. They do not. And it's a simple fix. And the reason why we know they don't care is because they're not building the border wall. You want to know why we know that they don't care? Because you got 170,000 illegal immigrants coming in the month of March. And then Joe Biden tried to say, oh, it's a challenge. We'll figure it out. We'll get it under control. And then there was a 3% increase in April. You don't have any of this under control. You don't know what the hell. Does that video look like they got it under control? I'm not one just to pinpoint just to a video, okay? Because videos can be very manipulative and they cannot really show the whole story, which is what the mainstream media do. And I sure in hell don't want to promulgate that idea of what the mainstream media does. But I'm taking that video in conjunction of the data. So I'm not manipulating shit. That stuff is real, and that's exactly what's going on. Again, I have a friend that knows somebody at the U.S.-Mexico border. I've seen the footage. I've seen the videos on a cell phone of just hundreds and hundreds of illegal aliens lined up, ready to be processed into the system and ultimately be deported later if that truly ever happens. But according to the Biden administration, the reports that I'm hearing, he's smuggling them into the country. Unbelievable stuff that's going on. But hey, you know what? Again, these are all great people. Nothing to see here, folks. Just the country turning on fire with illegal aliens. And by the way, there's more illegal aliens expected to come into the country than 3 of our states, and that's just in the span of 1 year. So you're looking at projected around 2 million illegal aliens coming into this country in the span of 1 year under the Biden administration. You times that before that 4, that's 8 million illegal immigrants coming into the country by the end of Biden's term. I don't know how many states that involves, but it's a hell of a lot of people. You have 8 million there. You have a little over over supposedly 11 million people illegally here in the country as well. So you're looking at roughly 20 million people of the 330 million people we have within this country that are illegal immigrants that will ultimately probably receive amnesty, because we don't know how the hell to deport 20 million people out of this country. There's not enough money to do it, but that's the immigration system that our lovely federal government that's supposed to protect us has put in place. So just lovely stuff happening here in America under the Biden administration. We need Trump back. We need DeSantis. We need Ted Cruz. We need Nikki Haley. We need all the good people back in office so we can get this stuff under control and we can get it fixed pronto. But we got to wait another 3 years, folks, and hopefully it goes by fast. Now, finally, in some good news, all of you know I'm a big Star Wars fan. If you guys don't like Star Wars, honestly, they're actually really good books. If you want to sit down and have a quick, light read, kind of get involved within that universe, they are a lot of fun, and the books are relatively cheap. But it says here, Dave Filoni was already the executive creative director for Lucasfilm, the studio says. And I talked at length on this I don't think Lucasfilm should necessarily get rid of Kathleen Kennedy. I think she's a great producer. I think she's just not a right fit creatively for Star Wars, for the Lucasfilm franchise of Star Wars. I think she does good stuff for maybe Indiana Jones and other big titles that she's done in the past, through these big blockbusters. I think Jurassic Park was one. I can't list the other ones off the top of my head, but she's been involved in obviously big movies, big cultural movies. She is just not, again, a right fit creatively for Star Wars. And I said she should take a step back. I think I said this like a month ago, 2 months ago, and that Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau should take the helm, kind of like a Kevin Feige role at Lucasfilm. That's where they should be. And it seems like they finally did that. Now, supposedly this happened months ago. I heard rumors that this had happened. I wanted to hold off on it because they were just that, rumors, but we have a confirmation here. The internet lost its collective mind when the Lucasfilm updated its website listing Dave Filoni, one of the masterminds behind Star Wars, The Clone Wars, and The Mandalorian, as executive creative director at the studio. That's exactly what we wanted to hear, Star Wars fans. Good news. Finally, we got some good news going on here. Lucasfilm had some good news and some bad news for us, though. The title is real, but Filoni stepped into it months ago, Lucasfilm told IGN. That's fine. Nothing's really happened in the span of a few months. The Mandalorian was already shot. We have Ahsoka Tano coming out. We have Mandalorian Season 3 coming out. We have other spinoffs coming out. So that's fine. That means that he was involved in the spinoffs. I don't know what's necessarily going on with Gina Carano. There's a lot of rumors going on that she might be stepping back into Lucasfilm. I don't know if that's a good move for her, especially for what happened to her and how they treated her. I don't think she should step back in unless there is some sort of deal made where, one, she's getting paid an ass ton of money for what they did to her, and two, if she has if Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau have complete control over her contract and Lucasfilm or anybody at Disney can't get rid of her other than Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. Dave has been serving as executive producer, executive creative director at Lucasfilm for quite some time now. A Lucasfilm spokesperson told the site, "We simply updated our website. Nothing has changed with his current or future projects. He is busier than ever in a galaxy far, far away." Even if the move happened months ago, fans are excited with good reason, and they are not alone. Damn right. With all the hubbub about reception of the latest trilogy of Star Wars fans, which is crap, the latest trilogy was crap, helmed primarily by J.J. Abrams. Now, I think J.J. Abrams did a good job on Force Awakens. I think there's a lot of storytelling that could happen after that. I think his mistake and also Lucasfilm's mistake was bringing in new characters. I think they should have just kept it with the original cast, the original characters, and expanded upon that. That's what people wanted to see after a lot of years. They didn't want to see Rey. They didn't want to see Poe. They didn't want to see any of that. They just wanted to see the original cast, and we didn't get that, which is why everybody was pissed. We didn't get to see the original cast all together in the Millennium Falcon. We didn't see the cast all together in one spot. You killed Han Solo in the first film, spoiler, or second film, first or second, one of the two, can't even remember anymore. Last Jedi, you killed Luke Skywalker, and then ultimately, obviously, Carrie Fisher passed away, not due to any of Lucasfilm, just due to a very terrible circumstance. But they did a poor job in The Last Jedi and thereafter. You can't blame J.J. Abrams for trying to stitch things back up after what Rian Johnson did to the Star Wars franchise. Now, was financially successful but largely disappointing for fans. Filoni, meanwhile, has helped bring some of the galaxy's best moments in recent memory to life. He acted as creator, producer, writer, and director of many of the Bad Batch episodes, The Clone Wars, Rebels, and The Mandalorian, as well as the upcoming show like Ahsoka and the Boba Fett series, which are all going to be good. And I think Lucasfilm, by putting him as creative director, has a good chance here of revitalizing Star Wars. I think fans, I know fans trust Dave Filoni. They trust his storytelling. He's basically he's basically freaking George Lucas reincarnated. I mean, if you've ever seen them two have conversations with one another, it's kind of freaky. It's kind of creepy on how they can go back and forth talking about Star Wars. But this is a good move for Disney. This is a really good move for Star Wars. And as long as he's the one doing it, and Kathleen Kennedy and other executives are not dipping their damn hands in the creative creation of Star Wars, we should be in good shape here to see some really great movies and also some really great spin-offs on Disney Plus. And I couldn't be more excited for this type of news, as well as a lot of other fans. For many fans, the cinematic side of Star Wars feels a bit of a mess between what appears to be a genuinely unplanned trilogy and a couple of side story films that landed to mixed reviews. Works with Filoni name on them, meanwhile, have been received warmingly by the community, giving him a reputation with many fans as Kevin Feige of Star Wars, an executive level creator who understands the material well enough to make sure that it comes out feeling like Star Wars. And exactly right. That's what they needed. Just as Marvel has Kevin Feige, now we have Dave Filoni on the Star Wars level. So it looks like at least Lucasfilm and Disney are finally getting their head on straight here. And let's hope that Dave Filoni is extremely successful in this creative role and ultimately builds out the Star Wars universe for years to come, very similar to what we had with the Marvel universe. I would say it pretty much started with Jon Favreau in 2008 for Iron Man. I was actually working at Special Effects Unlimited when that was being filmed. They actually called me OCTC. The guy that worked there was the special effects director for Iron Man back then. But this is great news for, again, the Star Wars universe, the Star Wars fandom. We have Dave Filoni being an executive creative director for Lucasfilm. That is great news. And also, folks, again, if you enjoy the Bald Brad Show, please hit that like button right now. It really does, I promise, help the YouTube algorithm. I wouldn't ask you to do it if it was meaningless. And also make sure you hit that subscribe button if you enjoyed the show and you want to support a new conservative talk show. And if you want to help support the channel, not in a monetary way, just if you want to kind of go above and beyond, if you just attach any of my videos or my YouTube channel out there on your social media, Instagram, Twitter, Parler, other YouTube channels like ABL, Officer Tatum, The Ben Shapiro Show, The Michael Knowles Show, Andrew Clavin Show, Candace Owens Show, Hodge Twins. If you put my stuff out there and tell them, hey, you should have Bald Brad on your show, go out there and comment. You guys doing that for me really helps the channel grow, and it really does help me a lot on an individual basis on getting this channel bigger and growing faster than any other channel out there. So that's the goal. We're still on pace to hit hopefully 2,000 subscribers in the month of May. So we're getting roughly about 1,000 to 1.2 thousand subscribers a month, which is great news. Again, we've only been in operation for 2 months here and we're growing fast, which I love. But with that being said, folks, I hope all of you have a lovely and blessed day. Don't forget to leave me a comment. I would love to know how you are all doing, how everything is happening on your end in your local communities. And I will see you tomorrow here on the Bald Brad Show.